What is up, everybody? I am Steve SBU, and welcome back to Draft League for Dummies. For Dummies, by Dummies. This week, we're going to be going over the basic archetypes as well as role compression. So, what are the different archetypes? Basically, you have your supporting Pokemon, you have your sweepers, and you have your defensive walls. There are other different kinds of archetypes, like your spin blockers and your grounded poison types, for example, but all of those kind of niche archetypes fit under the umbrella of these three main archetypes. So to start us off, we're going to be talking about the support. These mons are basically your hazard controllers, your setters and spinners, like I talked about in the previous videos. You have your wish passers, anything that is able to get a wish off and get a slow switch into your weakened team. You have your screen setters, and you have your status spreaders. A lot of these Pokemon are generally very good to have at least one of. I would argue you should have your Wish Passer, and you should have a different mon that does your screen setting, your status spreading, your hazard control, etc. You really can't fit every single attribute of the support into one Pokemon. That's why you have your supportive core, your 2, 3 Pokemon that are able to support the rest of your team. And then, of course, you have your sweepers. These are everyone's favorite Pokemon here. Typically, they are very high attacking stats, very high speed stats normally, and you have your choice abusers and setup sweepers. These are the two main branches of the sweeper, the choice abuser and the setup sweeper. However, they are not mutually exclusive. For an example, you could definitely run a Swords Dance Chien Pao. However, you could just as easily run a choice scarf or a choice band Chien Pao just for the immediate damage. And not only that, but things like Sneasler is easily able to run these completely different sets with Unburden, being able to double its speed stat with a White Herb or with a Seed in Terrain, for example, and just Swords Dance up. However, it is just as easily able to run a Poison Touch with a Choice Scarf or Choice Band set, and depending on which of the two sets you bring, is wildly different in the terms of a draft setting. That could mean the difference from you outspeeding an opposing Chien Pao or being undersped and getting KO'd in return. And then finally, we have the walls. These are the Pokemon that basically give your offensive Pokemon room to breathe. They have very high defensive and HP stats. They can be phasers, anything that is able to roar out opposing sweepers, or just opposing Pokemon in general to possibly get more hazard chip up. And you have your PP stallers. Things with pressure, for example, are able to easily stall PP. However, you also have your very typical Blissey that is able to stall PP very easily with its very high special defense and HP stat, just generally being able to eat hits to take pressure off your team. And we like to call these damage sponges. Anything that is able to just eat hits all day and then heal it off reliably. Things like Dondozo, because it has such high defensive stats and HP pool, it is effectively able to use rest, as most things are not able to KO it in 3 turns, and with its unaware ability, it is completely unable to be set up on and beat in that manner. So I talked about role compression at the start. Basically, role compression is basically when you take different aspects of the different branches of the archetypes and you combine them into one. For an example, you have your bulky sweepers. Bulky sweepers are generally very high defense and HP stats, as well as a very high attacking stat, but it is balanced by a low speed. Just as an example, like Ursaluna, you are able to OHKO a lot of things with very little effort. However, because you have a very low speed stat, you're almost always moving second, so you're just going to be getting whittled down time after time, and that's what makes these ones crazy strong in Trick Room. However, in a single setting, Trick Room is not as viable, but that's a topic for another video. And then, of course, we have your hazard stacking walls. These are very typical. I would consider these more under the support slash wall archetype. And Clodsire fits this perfectly, with it being able to set up T-Spike and Stealth Rock incredibly easily, as well as healing things off with Recover, and just generally being able to eat hits incredibly well with Unaware or Water Absorb, depending on the matchup. And then offensive setters, these are your things like Hisui and Samurott, for example. Hisui Samurott is just able to do so much damage as well as set up hazards. Cleavor does this well as well. However, because it is stealth rock and cannot be stacked, Stone Axe, while it is very good, I would argue that it is not quite as good as Ceaseless Edge in that aspect. However, both of these Pokemon are amazing offensive setters that can really create tempo for your team. And then you have a very uncommon thing to see, and that is a fast wall. And I would really consider this more so like a support wall more than anything, rather than like a truly like offensive fast wall, because that just takes a little bit from everything. And like I said, Pokemon doesn't really do that. So a fast wall, as an example, would be something like a Cyclizar, for example. Very high speed stat, solid HP pool. However, with an assault vest or just a lot of like defense and special defense investment, as well as your HP, you're able to give a lot of shed tails. You're able to get a lot of shed tails off to support the rest of your team. And with your regenerator ability, you're just casually only taking about 25 HP. And with your either citrus berry or heavy duty boots, depending on the matchup, you can switch in and out incredibly easily. However, I would hesitate to call it a wall per se, but this is probably the closest thing we're going to see to a truly fast walling Pokemon. But anyways, guys, that's it for today. Thank you all so much for the love on the last couple episodes. I greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and sub if you don't want to miss any more of these. I'm definitely going to be keeping up with these. I'm going to try to do them weekly, so keep an eye out for next Monday. But anyways, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.